I'm Shunto Kobayashi. I've been enjoying my first year as an assistant professor of marketing, and I'm really excited to talk about my recent work on privacy enhanced versus traditional retargeting ad effectiveness in an industry-wide field experiment. This is joint work with my awesome colleagues, co-authors who are sitting over there, Garrett Johnson and Jen Rongu, a marketing PhD student. We are all familiar with retargeting as consumers. It involves ads that follow you around and show you products that you browsed before, like shoes, for example. And these retargeting ads, they involve third-party cookies. They are powered by third-party cookies, which allow online entities to follow your behaviors across different websites. We're at the crucial turning point of digital advertising where consumers are increasingly concerned about these third-party cookies tracking their behaviors and potentially invading their privacy. In a response, regulators and browsers are starting to restrict third-party cookies in various fashions by implementing privacy measures. So, of course, privacy is important, and we should respect consumers' privacy, but this creates a tension in digital advertising ecosystem. This is because, as I said, online advertising methods like retargeting rely heavily on third-party cookies, and this is why businesses worrying that privacy measures may weaken advertising strategies, online advertising strategies like retargeting. But there's a deeper question here about retargeting. How effective is retargeting to begin with? Surprisingly, there's not a lot of broad causal evidence about its effectiveness. Ad tech firms often make bold claims that retargeting can drive a lot of conversions. But the problem behind retargeting is that retargeting, by its nature, has this endogeneity problem, that it's targeting consumers who may be already inclined to purchase. And this is why using observational studies for making conclusions about retargeting's effectiveness is not appropriate. And this is where we come in. Our research questions are the following. First, to what extent does retargeting drive actual conversions? Meaning, what is the marginal gain of using retargeting to drive sales and purchases? And second, if retargeting is indeed effective, then can we implement it in a privacy-friendly way? So how would privacy-friendly retargeting work? Enter Google Privacy Sandbox. This is a collection of technologies developed by Google for their market-leading browser, Google Chrome. This is designed to preserve basic essential functionalities of online advertising while respecting consumer privacy. It does it by eliminating reliance on cross-site identifiers like third-party cookies and instead use privacy-enhanced technologies to carry out advertising features like targeting and measurement and so on. For example, Protected Audience API, known as PAPI, it enables privacy-friendly retargeting where users can still see retargeted ads, but their browsing behavior is not shared externally. And the use of privacy-enhanced technologies to carry out online advertising, this is a new paradigm that requires evidence on its effectiveness. And so how do we determine the effectiveness of Privacy Sandbox, and also how do we determine the retargeting effect in driving conversions? We leverage a global field experiment that was conducted on Chrome users by UK's antitrust authority, CMA, and Google. This is an unprecedented experiment that impacts the whole advertising industry, and it involves 1% of all Chrome users, amounting to about 30 million globally, where they lose third-party cookies. So under the Privacy Sandbox treatment, some of these cookieless users have their Privacy Sandbox enabled. So this allows, for our research purpose, this allows us to identify the effectiveness of Privacy Sandbox, specifically for retargeting. And we also have this cookieless treatment for the remaining users, cookieless users. And the effectiveness of retargeting in driving conversions using this treatment. And of course, we also have control group where third-party cookies are turned on. So, this is an open experiment in the sense that if you have capabilities and if you know what you're doing, you can, join and collect data. So we collaborate with a demand-side platform that specializes in retargeting. Specifically, we collaborate with them to build a data pipeline, specialized data pipeline to collect experimental data. And our data comes from around 2,800 advertisers using our demand-side platform partner for retargeting campaigns. And this represents about like 90% of total clients. And they come from a wide variety of industries like fashion, electronics, and also a wide variety of countries, and also they are of different sizes. And one cool feature of this data set is that these advertisers didn't self-select into running an experiment. Having experimental data from them is kind of like a byproduct of our DSP partner onboarding their campaigns so that they're eligible through Privacy Sandbox. So this eliminates a common source of bias that exists in advertising studies. Okay, so we use this data to answer the first research questions. Is retargeting actually effective in driving conversions? To do so, we compare total conversions of cookieless and control groups. Again, cookieless means you don't have third-party cookies, so you cannot retarget these users. And by comparing total conversions, which includes non-ad-driven conversion outcomes, we can understand the marginal gain of using retargeting. And what our estimate shows that retargeting causally increases conversions by about 4.6%. And the confidence interval illustrates that it is also statistically significant. So depending on your background, you may be thinking that this is like a small effect, but if you're familiar with online advertising and advertising strategy in general, you can see that this is actually a substantial effect. If you're an enterprise advertiser and I tell you there's a strategy that can give you 5% boost in your sales, I think you will be very serious about implementing that strategy. So what this shows that retargeting can work and can actually drive conversions and create marginal impact. Okay, so having shown that retargeting is effective, the next question is, can we do it in a privacy-friendly way using Privacy Sandbox? Here we focus on ad clicks and click-through conversions for better statistical precision because total conversions include non-ad-driven outcomes, so it can be a bit noisy. And we also compare performance metrics like ad click per impression and click-through conversion per impression. So basically click-through rate and conversion rate. And what we find by comparing the control group, which has cookie-driven retargeting going on, and the Sandbox group, which has Sandbox-enabled retargeting, is that we see that Privacy Sandbox achieves around 90% of these performance metrics coming from the status quo retargeting system. So, even though Privacy Sandbox does not rely on third-party cookies, so it does not track users around different websites, it can still use retargeting to convert impressions into conversions at similar capacity as the traditional retargeting does. However, there's a caveat. If you look at total ad outcomes, total clicks, and total click-through conversions, turns out Privacy Sandbox retains only 50% of the ones from the control group. And as you saw in the previous slide, it's not because Privacy Sandbox is not effective. Turns out what's happening is that Privacy Sandbox is not supported by many vendors. So our demand-side platform partner, it's a buyer, buys impressions on behalf of advertisers, and it has the ability to use Privacy Sandbox, but Privacy Sandbox has been supported by upstream firms that sell impressions so that they can still purchase these impressions through Privacy Sandbox. So this is why there's limitation on the supply of impressions that puts a ceiling on the total ad outcomes that you can achieve through Privacy Sandbox. And you can see from the effects on impressions and ad expenditure that there's this signal of limitation on the supply. So in this project, we leverage an industry-wide unprecedented experiment that involves many Chrome users to understand the true impact of retargeting on driving conversions. And we also use it to understand the effectiveness of this new paradigm of online advertising, which is using Privacy Sandbox to carry out privacy-enhanced retargeting. And we found that retargeting drives conversions by about 5%, and this is a causal effect that comes from about 2,800 advertisers across different industries, different countries. And we also find that privacy-enhanced retargeting retains at least 80% of performance metrics like click-through rate and conversion rate. However, there's limitation on in terms of aggregate outcomes because Privacy Sandbox is not yet supported by many vendors. So this highlights that we need more adoption of this new technology so that we can achieve the full potential of Privacy Sandbox. We also have another ongoing project where we study the impact of Privacy Sandbox on advertising revenue. So we're looking at supply side. So if you're interested, I'm happy to talk offline too. Thank you for listening.
Who participated? How were they selected again? I know you said different industries, different countries, but how did they join?
Yeah, so they're like 90% of the total clients that use our DSP partners. So these these firms are running retargeting campaigns, and then our DSP partner wants to start using Privacy Sandbox for retargeting. So they, our partner firm converted these, or I should say, they onboarded these campaigns coming from 2,800 advertisers, so that they are eligible for using Privacy Sandbox. And the remaining 10% or so advertisers, their campaigns were too complicated to convert them into Privacy Sandbox. So that's how the selection works.
I have a question. What was the time duration of the test for retargeting? Was it week, 2 weeks, month?
You mean the like how each advertiser
typically in retargeting for those you visit a website, you leave without buying, and they retarget you with an ad. Mm-hmm. How long was the time frame to include it as a measured conversion?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of heterogeneity going on across advertisers, and we should ask our DSP partner to figure out what's like the average length. Yeah.
So it depends, right? Thank you.
Thank
Fantastic. You.